Welcome everybody, my name is Ola El Hosseini. In this tutorial I am going to show you how to use the if function. We use the if function if we want to evaluate a condition to true or false and return one value if true and another value if false. For example, if we use the if function to see if amounts spent are under or over budget, the result for true could be within budget, while the result for false could be over budget. Okay, the if function takes three arguments. The first one is the logical test. In this argument, we specify the condition you want to test. The second argument is value if true. We specify the value that we want returned if the result of logical test is true. The third one, the value if false. In this argument, we specify the value that you want returned if the result of logical test is false. Let me show you an example. In this example, I want to compare between the actual expenses and the predicted expenses. And if the actual expenses is greater than the predicted expenses, I want to return over budget. Otherwise, I want to return within budget. The first step, I select the cells which I want to type over budget or within budget. Then I click insert function like this. From select a category, I choose logical. Then I choose if function. Or from most recently used, I can choose if function and press OK. The first argument, logical test, I specify my condition. So I select C2, then greater than P2. If the condition evaluated to true, I want to type over budget. So in value if true, I type over budget. And if the condition evaluated to false, I want to type within budget. So in value if false, I type within budget. If you notice, the wizard type double quotation around the text because we should to type double quotation around any text. Then I press OK. And copy down the formula. Okay, like this. Okay. In this cell, because the actual expenses greater than the predicted expenses, so the if function return over budget. And in this one, because the actual expenses less than the predicted expenses, the if statement return within budget. In this one, because the actual expenses equal to predicted expenses, so the if function return within budget. I hope this tutorial is useful for all of you. Thank you so much and see all of you in another tutorial. Thank you so much.